welcome to the first ever episode of the LowBrow LowDown. I am one of 3 hosts. My name is Lars. Christian, what's your name?
Lars?
Wank Master Flex.
Wank. Okay. A little bit of information for those of you watching on YouTube, where you can also find this podcast on iTunes. Probably, if we can figure out how to do that. For those of you listening on iTunes, hey, congratulations to us! We made something that is released on iTunes. We've never done that before. So for those of you listening on iTunes, you can find us on YouTube as well, where we make Let's Plays and other stuff. Game related, strictly game related.
Yeah, strictly. Very strictly.
No penises.
All right.
So...
I didn't get to introduce myself, by the way. I called him Mr. Wank Master Flex.
Yeah, so we've got Lars, Mr. Wank Master Flex, and your name
Cunt
is...
McCunt face.
Or Magnus for short.
Okay.
This is my liberty.
Yeah, Magnus is his nickname, obviously.
Birth certificate.
Yeah.
Cunt McCunt face. Gender female.
I am not actually female.
Could have fooled me.
You got proof?
Can I see your birth certificate, Mr. Obama?
All right,
Topical humor.
let's kick this off with topical stuff in the news. The new Doom beta is out on Steam, and it's received a lot of flack for not being any good.
It was out. I don't think it's out anymore. At least by the time this goes there, it's probably not going to be out anymore.
Okay, explain to the good audience what happened.
Okay, so here's the thing. For those of you who grew up during the 90s, that would be most of us probably. You all know what Doom is, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And you know that Doom revolutionized the shooter genre, right?
Yeah.
Partially. I would say it perfected what Wolfenstein 3D
Right.
did.
Created. Yeah.
Created, basically. And there was another offshoot from id Software. id Software. Quake. Quake revolutionized...
I know things.
Quake revolutionized game multiplayer by allowing us to play online. Basically, they created the competitive arena shooter for PC, and that's where this whole debacle started. Because id Software, or I should say Bethesda, because I don't feel comfortable saying id Software.
Actually, it's been outsourced to another company, Certain Affinity.
Yeah, that's the same company that made Halo, the first or second Halo, or something like that.
What?
Yeah, that's true.
That's Bungie.
Yeah, that's Bungie. And then it was outsourced to Studio 434.
Not so much outsourced.
Bungie made the first...
taken over, I guess.
Yeah,
but Bungie made the first 2 or 3?
Yeah, and then Studio 343.
But the...
4, 6, 7, 8.
I have no
A, B,
idea.
C.
The only reason I know that it's Bungie is that the first Halo was made for the Mac. And once Microsoft bought Bungie, no more Mac releases. So that's also the reason why I've only played Halo 1. I haven't played any of the other Halos.
Yeah.
So, but I digress away from Magnus's point.
Yeah.
What's been happening with the Doom beta?
The point is, the single-player part of Doom is being developed by id Software the way you expect it to be, right? But the multiplayer part is developed by a different company.
Okay, so they outsourced the multiplayer.
Yes,
part.
exactly.
Okay.
So here's the idea. That this is why people are pissed off, because people hear Doom multiplayer, they were expecting an arena shooter, because lately the games market has been dominated by games like Call of Duty, Halo, and games with like player loadout, class-based shooters and all that shit. People have been creaming their pants for another arena shooter, fast-paced online shooter with all the power-ups readily available on the map, with no loadouts and advanced jumping techniques like rocket jumps, wall jumps, enemy jumps, damage boosts, what have you, all that shit. So people were expecting that Doom was gonna bring back that genre. There are several attempts at this already, but there are no good attempts at this already.
Right.
So
such as what are the
such
other
as
attempts?
what's it called? There's a game. It's a game called Reflex, I think. It's that's one of the titles. It's still not released, but people have high hopes for it. It's being produced by a veteran of the genre. But in general, people are mostly still just playing old Unreal Tournament games or Quake 3 Arena.
As you should.
Or Quake Live, because those are the best games for
It looks like they made the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so they basically just did
multiplayer Halo.
Or ports, basically.
Yeah. But they did do
HD
something
ports.
with Halo, and this is why people are pissed off because.
But the Master Chief Collection was a giant piece of shit.
Yeah, but we're not.
But we're not able to see what Christian is actually doing right now. The
Giant motion with hands.
He's trying to tell us that the piece of shit is actually like 2 or 3 feet in diameter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Props.
Okay. We're actually discussing poo.
Yeah. Well,
Welcome to Lowbrow Gaming.
I guess. Well, anyway, just to sum up the history part of the point. The thing is, the new Doom multiplayer. Let me do that sentence again. It's not so much about Doom itself, but its software, or that's why I'm saying not its software, but Bethesda, because this is a typical Bethesda thing, or a publisher's thing in general. Bethesda has been pushing the multiplayer as the new arena shooter thing. We're bringing Doom back to the masses and all that crap. So naturally, they've had a beta for the multiplayer only. And now the multiplayer that we got, instead of the multiplayer that we want, is a loadout class-based, not so much classed up, but you have loadouts. You still have pickups on the field, but you don't have weapons. Apparently, as far as I know, I didn't actually play the latest beta.
Right. So I'm just assuming that the pickups you get are sort of buffs and power-ups. And
It's the same.
Overshield and extra health.
It's quad damage, haste, invincibility, and
more armor and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's the basic stuff, and armor plays a big role as well. Armor and health pickups, right? So what the thing is that what people are calling it is a sped up Halo. Not so much in an arena shooter, but a sped up Halo.
Yeah.
There are no advanced jumping techniques, and there are bad sound design issues. But the thing is, there's a lot of typical game development issues here, like sound design not being quite there, and some bugs and all that shit. And that's just what you expect. But people were expecting an arena shooter, but they are getting a fast Halo.
One of the expectations I saw on Reddit was that it feels like they've slowed everything down. Everything moves slower, and that the players move slower as well, and that they've had to lower the damage on the rocket launcher because it's actually quite difficult to dodge it. Someone actually said like that's pretty much the main reason to not play the game now.
Yeah, if you're looking for the multiplayer experience, that is the original Quake and Doom experience, and I didn't try this open beta. I tried the closed beta, and I agree. The weapons, it's not just the rocket launcher; it's all the weapons. They all feel pretty weak, and instead of having weapons that can do any job, the weapons feel more specialized, and that's. I'm not gonna speak too much out of turn because I'm not a huge arena shooter fan from the olden days. I didn't play so much arena shooters. I was more a Counter-Strike kind of guy. I'm an asshole, you might say.
I'm right there with you, bro.
I played Counter-Strike for years.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up I grew up like 2 years too late to enjoy the arena shooter online.
I was like Unreal Tournament 2003 and 2004 and Counter-Strike. Those were sort of my go-to shooters.
Fucking games.
If you play UT2K4 or 2K3, then you basically have the arena shooter experience.
Right,
because that's what there is. Fast-paced jumping techniques.
Yeah,
weapons you pick up, all that shit. No buying,
rocket
no
jumping
headshots.
and all that jazz.
Yeah.
But even Quake 3 Arena, I didn't really enjoy it.
No, I played Quake 3 Arena a lot at LANs, but not so much online by myself back home. More Counter-Strike. But anyway,
I actually played it in high school because that was the only Mac shooter we could install on the old iMacs in like OS 9.
And I spilled beer on myself, so that's awesome.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Cheers.
Anyway, so that's what you get. You get weapons that are scaled back because the game is slow, so you can't really dodge the rockets. So the rockets feel like they do too much damage. So they scale the rockets back. Now they don't feel like they do enough damage.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, you don't have advanced jumping techniques, which is also a very common complaint with this. No rocket jumps.
No.
No bunny hopping.
No bunny hopping.
Right.
No jumping jacks and jibbly bobbles and boobity boops.
Yes, we're old.
And other words.
What do you think this is gonna? How do you think this is gonna affect sales?
I think unless they redo the multiplayer completely, I think this game is just doomed. Did not intend for that. Did not intend for that at all. But I think this game is doomed to fail. At least the multiplayer part of it.
Yeah.
I think they because the big problem is that the marketing push, that it kind of called out the old school FPS players. You know, they kind of very directly targeted the old guys who grew up with Quake.
Yeah, they did the whole Doom's back, baby.
All that
kind of thing.
that strong arm bullshit, but look at this super shotgun, shove it up your ass. And all the trailers are all about focusing on the things that are iconic for the old school Dooms. So they came back out of the woodwork and then they started like waiting it out, right? So they've disappointed in 2 betas now, the closed and the open beta. And I think they just lost all those customers because id Software aren't the ones that are developing the multiplayer. It's CA. I only remember it for CA. I don't remember the actual company because I don't give 2 shits actually. It's just a name.
Certain Affinity is the game.
Certain Affinity. I'm sorry, any employees of Certain Affinity who might be watching.
You did a great job with the Master Chief Collection.
We're sorry you have to deal with these people. And he just gave you the finger and that's fine.
You also made Crimson Alliance. Yeah. Awesome game.
Has this sort of reception during a beta happened before?
Yes, many times.
Okay, so it's a frequent happening.
No,
but betas always get a lot of shit. But how close is this beta to launch?
I would assume there's months away.
We could actually.
I'm guessing. It's fall. It has a launch date.
Let's find out. We can talk about something else. Meanwhile, very nice weather while he's researching. No, I don't think. The thing is, the big error they did in their marketing push is they shoved the old school arena shooter style through their marketing.
Oh, it's actually not far away. It's May 13th.
Yeah. So
exactly.
Which is why I think
the open beta that just ended is probably just a server stress test.
Yeah, exactly.
So they will have no chance at actually doing anything to the game.
It's launching with the features that it is. I mean,
some of these tweaks, I guess.
I mean, some of these things can be fixed with damage tweaks. But they pushed it as an arena shooter. Then they included loadouts, and now the numbers are just wrong.
But I'm guessing that this might be another case of the developers wanting to do something, and then some corporate suit said, "Oh, but this doesn't appeal to everyone."
Exactly, you have to make it easy for everyone. Everyone has to be on the same level.
I don't get it. We need loadouts. Call of Duty has loadouts. That's the most popular game in the world.
I'm going to disagree with you because the company that's making the multiplayer bit, that's all they know. That's the only thing they've ever developed. Yeah, I don't think that developers that are making the multiplayer part of the game, I don't think they actually know how to make an arena shooter. I don't think id Software should have done it by themselves.
Like you're saying, that my assumption is that if Bethesda was looking for someone to develop their multiplayer thing, they would just basically look at other multiplayer games and say, okay, let's have someone make this.
Yeah,
because they've made a multiplayer thing, so let's just have them make the same thing for Doom.
The reason that's the thing though, which is why I need to disagree with you because
but I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah,
you disagree with me if I'm disagreeing with you.
The previous statement. Anyway, if Bethesda consciously pushed it, because Bethesda is the publisher here as well, right?
I think so. Yeah.
No, they are. Yeah. Because Bethesda, they are the publisher here. So if Bethesda were pushing this. Are forcing these bad decisions on the game, on their developers.
Well, they did.
Why did their marketing push still go with the here's the arena shooter, get back here, this is the old school online FPS thing?
I was going to say because they're idiots, but then I remember they did a genius move with Fallout Shelter. Fallout Shelter, pure stroke of genius. Kudos, Bethesda.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of problems when they outsource things to companies without actually holding their hand. I feel like this did the same with Elder Scrolls Online. Was not the same as Elder Scrolls.
Well, that was ZeniMax, right? And all ZeniMax have done
they've done Facebook games. And
right? The Sims. ZeniMax made the Sims.
Different company.
No.
Let's look at it.
Research time!
Welcome to LowBrow Gaming. We don't research before we do things.
Because we're stupid. Isn't that?
No, it's Maxis. Is the Sim City.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Yeah, they're all called
they made kind of The Sims.
They made Elder Scrolls Online.
They made
Kind of The Sims, just with dragons.
They made the Serbs.
The main quest giver in Elder Scrolls Online would be a green-haired guy from
Yeah.
SimCity.
It's the
It's
social...
the mayor. Oh no, you need to destroy all the monsters, and then he just starts doing this.
Oh, the quest giver is the social bunny.
No, okay.
Okay.
See, I think the big problem that Doom is I think the single player will face the same kind of success that Wolfenstein: The New Order did if they make it right, because
I basically play first-person shooters for the story anyway. I mean, most people play Call of Duty for the multiplayer. I would play Call of Duty for the single-player experience. I'm just fucked in the head that way, I guess.
if it didn't have the multiplayer, I just wouldn't play Call of Duty.
ZeniMax.
I've stopped
Modern
playing
War
Call of Duty,
shooters.
period.
ZeniMax is known as the owner of id Software.
Well, obviously, because ZeniMax owns Bethesda.
Oh yeah, fuck, but stupid.
Bethesda
Stupid.
Softworks is the development arm of ZeniMax Media Corporation.
Different argument, different...
No, my stupid
Yeah,
brain
you
thought
are-
it was the other way around. That Bethesda owned ZeniMax.
No.
No.
So yeah,
So
Yeah.
the whole Sims thing is
still hilarious, but not real.
I think the only
that's stupid.
the only time I've actually personally heard about, oh my god, the neighbors doing some redecorating or something. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Welcome to my home. The neighbors are redecorating. Enjoy the sounds.
I think the only time I've sort of heard of anything sort of affecting a game prematurely is when Half-Life 2 got leaked. I haven't really heard about like massive problems where they do an open beta and the fans just hate everything.
No, I'm trying to rack my brain about this. Betas were things. There, I feel like there's something. I just can't really grab onto it. There is something that happened in New York Times. I don't. Oh, nothing.
Oh.
Got
But
nothing.
the open beta is free, right? It's not like early access where you actually pay the developer. to
Open
provide
open betas are always
Yeah.
free. It's the
They were
closed betas that are either you have to sign up or you get invited or
or you
pre-order.
pre-ordered and then you get a key, right?
Yeah. I don't know if you checked it out, but the open beta for Doom is sitting at mostly negative reviews on Steam. There's like thousands of reviews. Most of them are negative.
Yeah.
And at
They
this
have the
point-
dreaded mixed headline now on their
Okay,
reviews.
so it's starting to turn around. It's starting to turn around now because that's the thing. I think what sort of happened is I'm pretty sure that the beta or the multiplayer would be good if it wasn't called Doom. But
Yeah.
here's the thing: historically speaking, you didn't play Doom so much for the multiplayer as you did play Quake. Because Quake is what popularized this arena shooter thing. I mean, Doom had the same thing with the fast movement and all that, but people mostly play Quake.
For multiplayer, yeah.
Yeah, so Doom was mostly the single player and the modding scene. That's what Doom spawned. Doom spawned the modding scene, no question about it. I still play...
For me, it's Half-Life. Half-Life for me spawned like everything. Every mod I know of that is anything is Half-Life based.
They probably...
That's also built in the Quake engine though. So
Yeah, that's actually true.
is?
That's not,
Yeah, it is.
Half-Life is built in the Quake engine, but Doom is what started it all, and Doom is still one of the most played modded games. I still play lots of Doom mods. You have total conversion mods, small graphics mods. I actually spent almost a good full weekend modding Doom once, and I modded it so much that it turned into a modern FPS that my computer couldn't run. I mean,
graphics mods?
Yeah, graphics mods. Full
cool.
3D models and new sound files, new weapons. Everything was just new. It was just Doom, the original Doom, with 3D models, so high resolution that my computer couldn't run it. This is like a couple of years ago now, so it will probably run fine now.
Now it's called Crisis 3.
No, not Crisis 3. Crisis 3 is crap.
Alright,
so I hear.
But it looks good.
Yeah, true.
Alright, let's move on. Lately we've been playing some platform games, is what we've been doing on our channel.
And I've been loving it.
Yeah, I've personally been playing the tiny indie gem Moustache Mountain by I think it's Latvian, called Nauris Amatnieks. Sorry for just murdering your name right there.
Hi, Nauris.
Nauris.
Hi, Nauris.
It's a very pretty, although very short game, where a mustache enthusiast, such as myself, climbs a mountain in search for a mythical, magical mustache gel.
So, game basically doesn't have a story.
Basically doesn't have a story.
It's
an
the story of his life.
Yeah, it's a side-scrolling jump and wall jump. Try to jump past the traps. It kind of reminded me of Super Meat Boy. Apart from Super Meat Boy being like gruelingly difficult and definitely not for me, this was slightly easier. But the traps and contraptions that you face in the platformer sort of looks kind of the same. Sliding blades instead of saw blades and stuff like that. I quite enjoyed it. It was worth the low price of like £1, $1, 10 Norwegian kroner if you want. So it was, for me, well worth playing. Chicku is another game that we play by Swedish Gatling Studios. You've played that as well a little bit for...
Chicku is fucking hilarious.
Chicku is fun.
It's basically, I feel like Chicku is Angry Birds marries Flappy Bird, and then they had like, they just did tons and tons of crack.
Yeah.
Then they had a crack baby, and that crack baby did a lot of cocaine, and then that baby had another baby, and that's Chicku.
I'd say like Chicku definitely reminds me of Super Meat Boy, but instead of jumping and wall jumping,
You're flapping.
You're Flappy Birding, basically.
But you're not just flapping up and down, you're flapping in like all directions as well. And that's just...
It's like one of those. Well, if you take like Flappy Bird and you can flap him in any direction you want to, in 2 dimensions, so to speak, you basically got the recipe for Chicku, and it's bloody and it's funny, and the sound effects and the music is fine.
It's hilarious. You should go and watch Lars's full run through of the game and our Let's Multiplay video if it's out. If not,
and put links there, and there for now. You can press
and if our multiplayer is not out, then you should.
That's going to be useless for our iTunes.
You should put it in your calendar. Just like check every couple of days.
We can leave links in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll leave links in the show notes.
Yeah.
I'd
say Chicku is fun. I'd say if you need to choose between Moustache Mountain and Chicku, I mean Moustache Mountain I didn't play myself. I only watched you play it.
Yeah.
And
I've also watched it.
I enjoyed what little game there was, but if you have to pick between the two, I'd say go with Chicku.
Well, definitely. Chicku has, I mean, what Moustache Mountain does not have that Chicku has is multiplayer. You can have a couch gaming session with 4 friends or 3 friends. You have to include yourself.
Chicku is genuinely funny, while Moustache Mountain is like, hey, there's a little guy with a giant mustache. Woo!
Yeah.
And then you just kind of look past that and it's just a hard platformer.
Yeah.
With annoying music.
The music is terrible, actually.
It's good if you watch it in a small burst, like I do.
Just
the
like
thing about
sex.
the single-player experience of Chicku and Moustache Mountain are quite sort of the same, where it becomes gruelingly difficult after a while, and you have to really, really get control of Chicku's little wing flaps. There's one particular level where there's a cross of laser beams rotating very, very, very slowly, and then you have to follow it around.
My blood pressure is rising just from you explaining it, so I hate games like Chicku. I gotta be honest.
Check out Chicku, and then you'll see how difficult that is. Right, what else can we talk about? Any other indie games that we're playing at the moment?
I'm not sure if I can call it an indie game, but I have been playing Salt and Sanctuary lately. By the time this goes there, I'm pretty sure I'm about halfway through a Let's Play on it. I mean, Christian doesn't get to have an opinion on this matter, but it's if you've played Super Metroid or Castlevania or the
Christian doesn't like Super Metroid or Castlevania.
I have strong opinions on Super Metroid and Castlevania.
Strong wrong opinions.
Strong wrong.
Anyway, if you like Super Metroid for its explorative gameplay, and that also goes to say for Castlevania post Symphony of the Night, as after they changed their style of gameplay for that game series. You're gonna see a lot of this in Salt and Sanctuary as well. But Ska Studios, the developers that made this game, they cited Dark Souls and From Software's games as their primary inspiration, and it really shows because the game is difficult as shit.
Yeah, I like it. It spawned a new sort of subgenre that people have called Soulslike.
Yeah, Soulslike is now a genre. I fucking hate that term. I can't stand people calling games Soulslike. It's the same thing with Doom clones. Or I mean, that's the
I don't
thing.
know. It's very descriptive of what it is.
It is very descriptive of what it is, but a Souls-like is not very descriptive of what Salt and Sanctuary is. I mean, the combat is there and the difficulty thing. I mean, but if
That you just described what it means to me. Like Souls-like is exactly what you just described.
Yeah, but
I've played halfway through Dark Souls 1 before I almost got separated from my girlfriend. Telling me that a game is Souls-like describes it enough for me to know that I will never, ever, ever pick it up.
No, but I mean, you would. I mean, I can agree if it was a 3-dimensional game, but. I mean,
no, but I think it covers the description. That
it's a 2D Souls-like game.
I'm fully aware,
Exactly.
but if you say a 2D Souls-like game, then you might as well just say it's an NES hard game, because that's much.
No, but people can't relate to that because they're too young.
Yeah,
and I know they're too young, but they're wrong.
And then you just exchanged one adjective for another.
Yeah, that's my point. That's my point. That's
But
the entire
but it's less descriptive. NES hard could also mean Super Mario, which is not as hard.
No, well,
Come in. Right, our neighbor, Magnus' neighbor, is currently trying to break through the ceiling. Anyway,
could be that he's pissed off because we were making him.
you said before that Salt and Sanctuary, you do a lot of exploring. I've heard people say this before as well, where meaning that you get past sort of areas you can jump up to if you have an ability that lets you jump up to it.
That's exactly the thing.
And then it opens a new area and so on.
That's what made Super Metroid like one of the most talked about games.
You gotta go back.
No, it's not necessarily. Well, it is backtracking. But as far as I've gotten in Salt and Sanctuary so far, I haven't really backtracked much but you die a lot, so you're still gonna end up going through the same path. But the idea
Sounds
is
almost Souls-like.
God damn it.
Lars, it's not Souls-like. It's a
NES
hard
hard.
NES-like game.
The idea is an open-ended, more multi-level game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a very good description, but what I mean by that is it's open-ended.
Okay.
Because you start at one point and you can go.
You can never do 100% complete.
Yeah, of course you can do it. No, I didn't mean several endings. More open-ended in the sense of you can go.
Well, my interpretation of open-ended is that it has no ending.
Oh no! Open-ended as in you have several choices as to where you go.
So it's an...
No, that's not open-ended. Open-ended for me is like you say in Fallout. If you just never finish the main story, that's an open ending.
Yeah, so what you're saying, it's more like a multiple choice exam. You pick your own path, but you still have an ending, and you still fail and die.
Okay, stupid semantics aside, it has open-ended qualities in the way you explore things, and this
that's nice.
I am not the first one to use open-ended as a term to describe this, but let's just ignore the semantics for a bit. Mm-hmm. The point is, you start from one point and you can pick several paths to go, and you can backtrack and you can go try the other path, blah 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 blah. But you're blocked off by key abilities.
Yeah,
and this is what separates Salt and Sanctuary from being just a Dark Souls clone and into being a game that, at least so far in my opinion, perfectly marries the concepts from Super Metroid with the gameplay mechanics of Dark Souls.
But the term isn't Dark Side clone, it's Dark Souls like. So it doesn't have to be exactly the same, it just has to be kind of similar.
Moving on.
I have a follow-up question. If you say that there are multiple paths to get I mean, are there multiple paths to get to the end, or do you have to backtrack to get to the end?
No, I'm not gonna say for sure because I'm not done with the game yet.
Right.
But I'm probably you could probably equate this to more like call it an open world game.
Right.
Say you start from
Yeah,
point A.
that's the terminology
Yeah.
I wanted to equate it with. Not open-ended, but open world.
Yeah. Well, start at point A. You need to get to point C, and point B is like this wide.
Yeah, exactly.
Super wide. So.
Super Metroid wide?
Ah! Anyway, so I just what screams out of me.
Your mama wide.
What jumps out of me as good parts about the game so far is that the combat feels super duper great. I mean, I've played a lot of games, and a lot of those games usually have decent combat. But when it comes to particularly melee combat, it's always difficult because when you shoot some guy with a gun, it's all on the auditory department to define whether or not a gun has a lot of punch. I mean, defining recoil in a gun is not very difficult. I mean, if it does 100 points of damage, it needs to have 100 points of recoil to reflect that damage.
The feeling of doing combat in a video game.
And in Assault and Sanctuary, it feels fucking awesome to slap people around with the sword.
Right.
In episode 3 or 4 of the Let's Play, I don't remember. I remember where I find it. I find a two-handed sword.
Mm-hmm.
It's like slapping people with a sword in real life.
Yes, I remember when I slapped someone with a broadsword in real life, because that's something I often do.
Yeah, if you find a long sword in real life that has analog sticks on the crossbow,
it would feel great just fiddling those analog sticks.
And then smash someone in the face with it.
I'll fiddle your analog sticks later.
No, but it feels great, and
That is plural.
I have several analog sticks. You're right.
Yeah.
The point is, it feels great, and I comment on it all the fucking time during my Let's Play.
Yeah.
Go watch it. It's great.
Yeah. No, don't point to somewhere else. Now I just pointed to.
Okay. Could you Photoshop up my hand out of that
Alright,
image?
we'll leave a link to Magnus's Salt and Sanctuary Let's Play in the show notes and the YouTube description, and we'll put links wherever in the pictures and stuff.
If you keep it.
If we keep it.
Terminology.
We've also been playing some Division lately, or actually that's where we started. The first thing we played on our channel was a multiplayer Division playthrough.
How do we feel about that, Lars?
I'm bored. I'm really bored.
That game fucking sucks ass.
No, it does. I mean, it doesn't suck. It's just bland. It's boring.
Yeah, and to me, that's just a cardinal sin. Making bland games in 2016, that's just a cardinal sin.
Well, on the other hand, it's almost impossible to make an original game in 2016 because we have been making games for. We haven't because we're idiots, but
we don't know how to code. I mean, you can do some coding.
You can do some HTML stuff.
HTML and Java.
I've made a calculator.
I took a class.
I've been to codeacademy.com. Sponsor.
No, we don't get confused. We don't have any sponsors.
We don't have friends.
But you can disagree as much as you want, but as time
time
moves on, it's getting harder and harder to find original content anywhere.
I'm not disagreeing with that. And
but you, Christian, you've actually enjoyed playing the Division quite well. You're max level and you're still playing.
I haven't played, but that's mostly because of time.
Okay.
Because I haven't had the time to play, but I haven't gotten to play the incursions yet.
Which for me it says nothing more than it's incursions.
Raids, basically.
Because that's what I thought we were going to experience in the Dark Zone, because this is not going to be part of any Let's Play, because face it, we're not going to make any more, except maybe we're going to make one more video.
Perhaps. Maybe.
With Christian on max level.
Disclaimer, asterisk, maybe.
By the time this goes there.
Probably not. But sometime later this month, we're going to see how max level Division looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But Magnus and I we were going to make a short, like... What were we going to do? We were going to grind our way up to catch up with you.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Because when we recorded it, we kept our separate characters for because we all thought it was going to be fucking awesome, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we thought we need to have separate characters because we're going to outlevel the pace at which we will produce the videos for the Let's Play. But we were wrong because both me and Lars were bored as shit.
I wasn't like directly bored, but I couldn't really follow the game. My enjoyment of it was playing with you guys.
Yeah.
And I could play any game.
Yeah, but that's...
Like the game itself did not really contribute to any enjoyment.
No, but that's kind of the same feeling I've had with World of Warcraft, which I've played with you guys. I didn't really enjoy the game that much. I've never played it alone, except for maybe to catch up a few levels, so we can go to a different dungeon or something.
Just to finish my sentence, I have played a lot of World of Warcraft, but I also do not play that while none of you are playing.
No, exactly, and I had the same thing with The Division, that I really enjoyed the game because I was playing it with my friends, and we were having a good time doing it together. Playing it alone is boring as shit.
To make our process quite short, grinding up to your level was boring as shit.
Yeah, that was probably boring as shit.
We didn't even try.
Yeah,
seriously,
so
we logged in and just no.
Yeah, we just immediately felt like this is not worth it. No. We ran around in circles for about 10 minutes before we decided, hey, let's check out the Dark Zone, see if it's cool. It wasn't.
No, it was just guys in purple, and they dropped loot, and then we had like
there was one other player there, and he was just doing his own thing, and we just picked up some loot. And because that was the thing, like the incursions or AKA raids that you're talking about, I was expecting that the Dark Zone was where we would find those kinds of things. That we would find sort of quote unquote dungeons and raids and stuff like that.
The missions themselves outside of the Dark Zone are kind of like the dungeons, and then the incursions, which were introduced at the time of this recording last Tuesday, I think.
Okay.
Maybe.
So yeah, mid-April.
The April 13th.
I have no idea.
No, that will be Wednesday. If it's 13th. Whatever.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, it's been a while ago now.
Train of thought.
Incursions. Missions outside and inside.
And the incursions were introduced last week.
3 weeks ago at this point.
Yeah. Which I haven't gotten to play yet, so I have no idea what the fuck they are.
Are they inside or outside the Dark Zone?
They are outside.
Okay.
Remember.
So it's kind of like the game's kind of like Destiny. And I know you've compared it to Destiny.
I played Destiny.
But I don't. But he's compared it to Destiny in like private conversations.
Well, most people are comparing it to Destiny.
Yeah, it is pretty much the same thing. It's an MMO shooter RPG.
Kind of an MMO, and now they have like instead of having the capture and team deathmatch matches and all that, they have the Dark Zone. And they have the levels, the story missions that you can play through with your friends, and they have the hard daily story missions that you can play through, and now they have the incursions, which are kind of like the strikes or raids in Destiny, but they're still PvE and not PvP.
Yeah. Are they
they also now have the what's it called in Destiny, the light. They have that in the division now. It's called Gear Score.
Right. I'll also admit that I never really reached it to. I never made it to top level in Destiny either, because I found Destiny to be equally boring. For me, it was the loading screens. I was playing it on the PS4, and it was just like it takes way too long to load. And once you start playing, it's just like any other deathmatch game. Like
I play Destiny to top level. I even tried the raids out in all the expansions and DLCs and crap. My big problem with both Destiny as well as the Division. I mean, when Destiny was first released, it was a shit bomb, right? The story was just completely mutilated beyond all belief.
And once again, like I also said with Call of Duty, where most people will go to Destiny to play multiplayer, I played it for the story because I'm interested.
I didn't play for the story. The story was shit.
Yeah, it was terrible.
It got better with the Taken King, but it's still kind of not
did.
I would say if the initial release of Destiny was how Taken King was, it would be a great game.
I have not tried
I wouldn't
Taken
call
King,
it. I wouldn't call it great.
I
The story in
would say
Taken
because-
King isn't really great. It's better. It's kind of good, but I wouldn't say great. But
I enjoyed going to the moon.
Yeah,
That's what I enjoyed with
the thing I liked
Destiny.
about Destiny was like the universe.
That being said, going to the moon in Wolfenstein, the latest Wolfenstein.
I haven't played those yet.
Oh, play it. Going to the moon there is fucking brilliant.
That Nazi came from the moon.
But
yeah, I know-
Particularly the sound design in that. But that's a digression. That's a different conversation.
I know what you mean, and what I'm saying is, the thing is that when if you start up Destiny now, if you buy that legendary edition or whatever the fuck it's called,
Taken King digital super duper uber
Einstein, give us all your money edition.
Bungie for life.
If you buy that now and then you start playing it from the start up until the end of the Taken King expansion, you will, when you reach the point where the actual DLC missions and Taken King missions start being the thing you do, there's like this stark contrast where the game suddenly is feeling more fleshed out. You remember I think what the first DLC is called, The Dark Below or something?
I
And
think so,
then
yeah.
it was the House of
And
Wolves.
then that expansion introduced that insane woman with the black blood bleeding from her eyes, Erica or whatever.
Oh no,
Eris.
Eris.
Yeah, Eris, whatever. But when you start
Aerys Targaryen.
Eris from Final Fantasy VII. Now the thing is, when you meet her, she suddenly has a storyline and she follows you all the way through. But
Yeah.
you start the game and then
you steal her ship or something, and then
Yeah.
you crash it into the.
and it just feels interesting. It feels interesting. They're fleshing out their characters, and then people suddenly have a soul. I mean, when you start original Destiny up, a robot comes and just, you've been dead for many years. You must have many questions. Fuck yeah, I have a lot of questions. Like, why am I dead?
But the thing
Who
is,
the fuck am I?
The-
What is
Answers you will never guess.
Why are there so many cars on this
I know,
place? Everyone's
but the
obviously
thing with
running
Destiny
laser
is that
beams.
they said from the beginning that it was going to be a 10-year franchise, and with like modern day release schedules, there was going to be a game once a year or at least once every other year. So of course they had to hold back on the story and ask a lot of questions, and then you would get the questions answered in the subsequent releases like Destiny 2, Destiny whatevs.
But I don't accept that. I don't. That's not okay.
Well, you don't because you're a cunt.
No, but that, I mean, I know,
TV shows because they don't tell me all the answers in the first
No, no, that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. I mean, it's fine if you want to space out your story content so it lasts for longer. That's fine. That's what World of Warcraft has done for many, many years.
And World of
with
Warcraft is
content,
shit.
with content patches. The thing is, what happened to Destiny was, and I'm just going to speculate in rumors because I don't have any evidence to back this up, but from what I heard, the main story writer quit just before Destiny went gold. So they lost like tons of shit. And they were left with Dinklebot.
Right,
Peter
so
Dinklage.
so they got like, they have story strands, but they don't know why things are
Yeah.
planted and what the payoff is going to be.
It wasn't, the first part of the story wasn't finished, wasn't finished written.
It wasn't ready.
It wasn't ready. It wasn't finished. It wasn't ready. So, but they released it anyway, and that was crap, right? All they had was, look, Peter Dinklage is the voice of the Ghost.
Yeah, which is going to tell you to move from here to over there.
So,
And then you're going to
now-
meet Nathan Fillion,
and now-
and he's not going to be Captain Malcolm Reynolds or Richard Castle.
And I'm gonna now do a perfect segue back into the Division because that's what we're actually.
Oh,
talking about.
shit.
I'm
And
excited.
That's the difference between Destiny and the Division, because the Division's release now has been a complete experience. The story is fleshed out, and I gotta admit, the setting feels like it's been worked on, right? Manhattan feels real. I mean, okay, it's a bit empty. I wish I could see anything but thugs in jeans and.
But
and
it makes sense within the story.
Yeah, Magnus has desperately been wanting aliens in the subway.
Yeah. The thing
But it makes sense that the streets are empty because the city has been evacuated.
And I agree with all those points. I mean, it feels like a much more complete thing. The problem is the Tom Clancy title. I think that's the biggest problem Division has.
Oh my god.
No, but no. Here's the thing. I'm not saying that it. Never mind. Here's the thing, with the Tom Clancy title in front of the Division, that sort of leans itself on the fact that okay, it needs more realism, right? Because Tom Clancy games are usually leaning a bit leaning more towards the realism.
Not really. It's leaning towards like Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
Like,
so
it's
realistic.
No, not Modern Warfare is sci-fi.
Okay.
It's leaning towards the future.
Okay.
But
and
it's
higher technology
only
than
like 10 years into the future,
yeah,
and
so
not.
it's a not too distant future.
Yeah.
Like military tactics is supposed to be sort of realistic, but beyond the realistic social approach, the technology and stuff like that is like beyond. Like virus spreading in Manhattan it hasn't happened, so how can that be realistic?
No, but I
like
mean,
you have a little ball that tracks people and blows up when it gets near them.
I am fully aware of that, but the setting. I mean, the setting is good. It's a fantastical setting stuffed into a contemporary frame.
No, but that's how. I mean, I haven't read Tom Clancy's books. I mean, I know for a fact that Tom Clancy had nothing to do with the game development of the Division because he's been dead for about 5 years.
Yeah, but why is his name on the thingy?
Because it's based on an IP. He probably wrote a book that was called The Division. I could actually just look it up so I don't make an absolute shit dick fool of myself.
I don't think he did.
Tom Clancy.
I don't think that the Tom Clancy label has anything to do with the new IP that is the Division.
I think it's just like a franchise.
Yeah,
now.
I think it's just
it's just a brand.
I think it's just put there to brand it and make it memorable right off the bat. And I think that's a problem. I mean, I knew from the get-go that I was probably not going to be interested in this game because of the Tom Clancy label. Because
I like Tom Clancy games.
No, I know, and that's fine. That's fine. I do not like Tom Clancy labels. You don't like Super Metroid. That's fine. We can't like all the same things.
Whenever I say that I don't like Super Metroid games, you say, "Oh, you can't have an opinion. You're wrong."
No.
And now you're saying that it's fine because you have a different opinion than mine.
No, that's when you say you don't like Super Metroid.
Hashtag hypocrite.
When you don't say Super Metroid, that's when I tell you that. Super Metroid games, on the other hand, I can understand why you don't like that.
Someone's actually Googled this before. Did Tom Clancy have anything to do with the Division? It's one of the top choices.
Anyway, the thing is that you expect something with the Tom Clancy label. That's my point.
Yeah.
It's not called Tom Clancy's Gears of War, and the Locusts have nothing to do with Tom Clancy. It's called Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, and while the equipment that the Rainbow Six squad or whatever uses is futuristic, the way in which they are using it and the setting in which they are using it is much more contemporary and lends itself more to realism. I mean, you shoot a gun, you get the 2 first bullets in the spray, goes where you want them. After that, you're not strong enough to stop your gun from going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my point.
Right. And you could speculate that Tom Clancy was actually involved with the Division. You can't really know for sure, but he died in 2013 and the Division started development in 2013. So it is possible that he wrote an outline or just a basic plot or basic universe that ended up being the Division.
Yeah, and that's fine too. I mean, it's not so much the label itself, but what the label tells you about the game. And I came in with a negative outset because I saw the Tom Clancy label, so I was automatically assuming I would not be liking this game. Mm-hmm. So I only enjoyed it because I was playing with you guys. When I was playing it by myself, I kind of much rather wanted to cut my toenails.
Okay. Watch videos to decide for yourself whether Magnus actually enjoyed it or not.
No, like I said, I enjoyed it with you guys, but I do remember distinctly saying the same thing in our let's play of this.
Yeah.
I think I said it in as early as the first episode. Dying of bowel cancer is better if you do it with friends. I know that's a gross.
Well, nobody wants to die alone, so
I know that's a gross.
But also wanting somebody else to die with you of bowel cancer is kind of selfish. So your takeaway from this should be that Magnus is an asshole or a cunt face.
Well, for my sake, like Splinter Cell for me is a franchise that I love. Like the stealth, it's one of the best stealth games. Like both Christian and I are massive fans of stealth games.
There's always been 2 camps when it comes to stealth games. You have Splinter Cell and you have Metal Gear Solid. I've never been a Metal Gear Solid fan. I've
not
always
tried
loved Splinter Cell. Metal Gear Solid 5 is a good game mechanically. All the game mechanics are fantastic. The gameplay is fantastic, but
It is the grandfather of the stealth game.
But the story is
Kojima.
it's Hideo Kojima. That's
You know how Hideo Kojima gets big ups because he writes good story.
he has never written a good story in his life.
I have never understood that sentiment. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Hideo Kojima. I love Suda51. All those Japanese author designers.
My point was that I don't mind Tom Clancy as a label because I know that the games are going to be vastly different. I mean, because Rainbow Six is by no means the same as playing Splinter Cell. Which, in the same way, like my expectation to play The Division is not based on previous Tom Clancy labeled games. It's based on, that trailer looks kind of enticing.
Yeah.
I kind of want to play this game. Which it looked pretty cool, but then again, I wasn't as excited by the trailer as you guys were.
No, I wasn't excited about the trailer. The only reason why I started playing...
I've been following the development of the game since E3 2013 or 12 or whatever.
When they first showed something, that was probably a couple of years ago.
I like every E3. I like to write a list of all the games that I want to play, and The Division was way on top of that.
I was the wrong way, didn't I?
I was never. I bought
goalpost.
I was never interested in The Division. The only reason why I bought The Division was because every one of you guys were playing it, or you were going to play it. Not just the two of you, but also a bunch of our other friends as well. So
all three of us pre-purchased it, so it's not like we had any idea what we were going to do.
But we pre-purchased it
once we decided we were going to do it.
Because I really wanted to play it and make a let's play in it, and then you guys were like, "Oh, he wants to play it, then I want to play it, so let's all pre-purchase it because we want to get blah blah blah."
Well, the end result is pretty obvious, though.
Yeah, the end result is pretty obvious. We've been talking about this for about 20 minutes now. We our opinions are divided on The Division. That's kind of fun. Yeah.
Oh, we're divided.
Well, in any case, we could maybe expect a video coming up
on the Dark Zone.
On the Dark Zone or sort of max level thing. Maybe you can try some incursions and we'll just comment and make your life miserable while you're playing the game with your other friends.
Do not expect a multi periphery video. I'm missing a word there. There's supposed to be a word there. Yeah.
Do not expect
multi-episode,
a multi-perspective let's play.
That's the word I was looking for. Final thoughts on The Division, huh? What do you think? Final thoughts.
I think it is a beautifully designed game. I think we touched on this in the early episodes of the Let's Play that the UI is a bit messy and a bit confusing because there's too many elements on the screen.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like how it looks. But when there's so many elements, I stop paying attention to them because I don't know which one to pay attention to. For example, the chat window, I never pay attention to because there's so many elements.
But it's like you get used to it. I had the same thing when I first booted up World of Warcraft, and there was like I had the action bar with 1,000 icons on it, and I was like, "Holy fucking shit!"
Yeah, but the thing
and
is,
then I opened up one of the menus, and it had like several tabs. I was
the difference there is that the quick bar icons in World of Warcraft are not trying to tell you things. You're trying to tell them things, and the UI in The Division is just full of information that it's trying to tell you that this is how much armor you have, this is how much health you have, this is how much armor you have, this is how someone else like 200 feet away are feeling at the moment, and this is how your mother wants you to come home for dinner right now.
You get used to it. I had the same problems. Like, that's my. But after a while, second nature.
I agree. I wouldn't put it too much on The Division's shoulders with the UI, but I think it is a problem.
Yeah, I'll continue my resume and say that beyond its visual beauty, like I said before, I just find it boring. So I couldn't be asked to finish it, really.
My turn? Or are we gonna do?
You're the one who asked the question. As a
Proverbial torch.
Should we do the negative sandwich where he says something negative, then you say something positive, and then I?
Let's ask Christian your
What do you-
final statements on the division and proposed future of the division. Or will you continue to play it?
I like it. I don't think the UI is a problem. I've always been a fan of the aesthetics of the Tom Clancy franchise's UI, where it's like dynamic and follows the world.
Which I agree with.
I've always appreciated that, and I still think like mechanically it's still a good game. Yeah, sure, it's boring to play on your own, but it's not a game that's meant to be played on your own.
Of course not.
It's built as a co-op game, and it's meant to be played as a co-op game. So playing it on your own, of course, sucks, but playing with your friends is good fun. And the story, it's alright.
Yeah,
It's good enough.
I appreciate the story in a way, but I also felt like when I was playing it with someone, I wasn't paying attention to the story.
No,
So
me neither. I didn't get the story until. But I also, when I played through the game with a friend of mine who were a couple of levels higher than me, and he would just help me through the story missions so that I can get up to his level and do Dark Zone stuff. We also played the levels in the wrong order, so I didn't understand shit, and then I played through all of them again later, and then sort of pieced it together, and was like,
you just followed what he wanted to do.
Or like we were going to play them in the correct order, but he just and then we're going to do this one, and then it's that one, but he had mixed up the order unintentionally, and it just fucked it up. So I had to piece it all together later and realize, there is a story. So that's why I'm fighting those guys. There, and who's this?
Yeah, because there was a moment when we were at the Macy's copy, like Albi or the massive department store.
It was Macy's.
Yeah. In any case, I had a moment there as well where suddenly you guys had stopped talking and we were just like looking for the next objective, and it's like, check all the dollar bills for any marks of contamination. It's like, that's what we're doing.
That's the first time I actually learned about what the fuck was going on in the
exactly. Someone had spread a virus. Who would have thought?
Through the dollar store.
Okay.
That's why it's wintry.
The dollar store where you just go and buy money.
Any final words on the Destiny, the division?
The division. I'm gonna echo what you said, and I'm gonna add in on the UI part. I think it's cool that the UI is basically part of the world that you're in, but it conveys too much information at the start. It would be fine if they conveyed all the information, but they should have just given it to you piecemeal throughout the game. You should start with your HP and your ammo, and then they should have added stuff. They should have added stuff like a short. I mean, you have the tutorial mission, and they tell you that activate your HUD buddy or whatever they call it, and then suddenly everything just kind of boots up. I mean, they could have spaced that out a little bit, and they just said, your HUD buddy is booting up. Please try out the grenade thing. And someone might say, you're tutorializing too much, blah blah blah. But it doesn't need to take more than 5 minutes just to explain what each of the individual things mean. Also, most of the UI elements are mostly centralized, except the chat. The chat is just down in the corner, which means you never pay attention to the chat. I mean, obviously that's not going to be a huge issue when you do like we did, play together and use some kind of voice.
Yeah, never care about the chat.
But I mean, for people who play by themselves but they use the matchmaking functions, which I'm going to commend the shit out of Ubisoft for, because the matchmaking is fucking awesome.
It is pretty good, yes.
It's very good.
The matchmaking is good.
Yeah.
But one thing that I will shit on Ubisoft for is...
Ubisoft. For being Ubisoft.
Hey-o. No, but is the in-game...
Oh yeah, you mean
the in-game voice chat, because that is fucking
Yeah,
awful. The microphone boost, you're turning up the gain, but you're not turning up the volume, so all you do is make people sound like T-Pain.
I don't think I've ever played a game that has good
Built-in voice
in-game.
chat,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, never.
No, but,
I mean,
they could have tried.
Blizzard has remade their
They
in-game
obviously
voice
did
chat.
try, but failed.
Well, they could have really tried. I mean, I feel like they just like tossed some random letters into like an empty script box and were like,
Denoiser.
This is code. This is code. I promise this is code.
Compression.
Compile. Oh, it worked.
let me just bang my microphone onto the keyboard for 5 seconds.
Calibrate.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna finish up, and then I'm just gonna add beautifully written, sort of. No, actually, I'm gonna take that back. It's not beautifully written. Decently written. Beautifully structured game. It looks beautiful. It's a very nice to look at game. The gameplay mechanics are good. Perfect. But the game is just Diablo in third person with guns, contemporary setting, and no demons. And I am not a fan of contemporary settings. I think contemporary settings are boring. If I want to go into a gunfight, I'll join the army and shoot someone.
I mean, contemporary realistic settings.
Yeah, contemporary settings. I mean, prototype. Contemporary, but a guy with tentacle arms.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. I contemporary settings can work, but the realistic, the contemporary and realistic thing together just kills it for me. And if I want a loot shooter, I could play Borderlands.
Or Destiny.
Or Destiny. And I played Destiny, and I wasn't really. I joined the Division because you guys were playing it, and I wish I could get my money back. That's all I have to say. I
don't regret the experience. I thought it was fun while it lasted, but I by no means am gonna level up to the max level.
I'm having a terrible money month. I could be playing Dark Souls 3 now, but I can't because I don't have money.
We're playing Souls and Sanctuary, which is Dark Souls 3 like.
Yeah, so From Software, please give Magnus a free game so he can make some last bits.
Please.
Review copy.
Please.
GIF.
Right, the sun is actually setting, as you've probably seen on our camera feed for those of you watching. So let's wrap this thing up. What will we be seeing going forward? You're going to be releasing Salt and Sanctuary videos, of course.
Yes.
I'm going to this month try to finish up Tomb Raider 2, which I've been playing, I think, about halfway. But it's a game I haven't played for 18 years, so I have no idea how far along I actually am. We've also lined up a couple of indie games that we've couch played. We're going to play Ultimate Chicken Horse and Needhog, among other games. And
we've got Lego Batman because we're gonna play through some of the Lego games.
Yeah.
If they're funny enough.
Yeah, mostly you guys, right?
Yeah.
I'm not doing Batman.
Christian and I are currently doing Lego Batman as a two-player experience because it's a two-player game. Makes sense, right? So far, it's an enjoyable experience, although some of the levels are a bit difficult to navigate. So stay tuned
the whole
for
perspective and
so stay tuned for some more Lego Batman coming later this month. And that's it for our first episode of LowBrow LowDown. You can find us on iTunes. You just search for the LowBrow LowDown, and
you might be able to find us on
might be able to
iTunes.
find us if we're able to upload this episode.
We'll have to figure that stuff out.
You can find us on YouTube. Please subscribe to us so that we can get a custom URL. Because right now we have youtube.com/uppercase-u, lowercase-u, xu, something. We would really appreciate it if we could subscribe so we could get youtube.com/LowBrow Gaming. For those of you listening in the future, that's probably the URL you could go to, but not at the moment. You can find us on Facebook.com/LowBrow Gaming, also Twitter.com/LowBrow Gaming, and lowbrowgaming@gmail.com if you have questions or suggestions, things that you want us to play, or questions that you want us to answer. We're at your command.
You've just been low-downed.
We're not making that a thing.
We're going to make it a thing for the first episode.
It's a thing.
Right. See you later, Low Bros. I gotta pee.